So, in the sport of basketball, the role of a flat-out scorer, a role that I've described as a gunner, a shoot-first player who very rarely looks to pass the ball, is one that's often debated of their effectiveness. But when you've got a player like that with a generational passer, while maybe the fit might not be seamless, it can lead to wins. And we've seen that at times when it comes to this combo right here, Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark. Before we get on to, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We're trying to hit 25.4k by the end of the day. We are 31 subscribers off that. If we could do that, that would be incredible. But if you're listening right here, Kelsey Mitchell compares Caitlin Clark to legendary NFL quarterback. Indiana Fever produced 3 players for the All-Star game, Kelsey Mitchell being one of them. Former Iowa superstar leads in assists per game. So Mitchell fully recognizes Clark's passing talent before this Saturday's All-Star game. Fever veteran praised her rookie teammate's passing ability. In doing so, she compared it to an all-time NFL quarterback, Peyton Manning. Obviously, being in Indiana, that's big. A lot of people don't understand this about Caitlin. You don't know where their passes are going. Your IQ is to match hers. She's Peyton Manning, Indianapolis' finest.
A lot of people don't understand that either about Caitlin. You don't know where those passes are going.
No,
Your
it's
IQ
going to
have
go
to
to where
match
she
hers,
thinks
though.
you're going to
Yes.
score from. She's like a football.
Quarterback.
She's passing you into a route.
Peyton Manning. Indianapolis.
And that's the one thing is like, that is such an important point made by Kelsey Mitchell. And I'm not going to lie, look, of any of the players that are struggling to deal with Caitlin Clark's passes, it is Kelsey Mitchell. It is Kelsey Mitchell. I'm not going to lie, like, she's really struggled. At times she has stone hands, but when she does get her hands on the ball, she is an elite scorer. Like, she is, I would consider her, like, if we're talking about purely, like, explosive guards in the W, I don't think she's as good as Arike. I don't think she's as good as Kennedy Carter. But of those score first, I'm getting mine guards, she might be the next best at that role. But you can see right here again that she's talking about how basically she's passing the ball to where you need to be. Not passing the ball to where you are. She knows where you need to be to get open. And what Kelsey Mitchell's saying is right. And you can see the team realizing that they need to improve. Not even need to improve, but they need to just get on the same page as Caitlin. And that's why I think you're seeing, say, like Alexi Hull, who's cutting more, succeed. You're seeing we saw it in the All-Star game, how easy it was for everybody. And that's why, again, that is the reason why, in my opinion, Angel Reese the perfect teammate for Caitlin Clark, because there's nobody, like, the kind of nuances of knowing where to be, where the ball should be, where to get your scores from. Like, we even saw it when they were both running the fast break. Angel Reese, like, pointing for Caitlin Clark to use the kind of drag screen and get open on the fast break. Like, she's someone whose IQ does match up with a Caitlin Clark, and I think Aaliyah Boston's IQ matches up. As far as Kelsey Mitchell is concerned, I don't think at this point, I don't think there'll ever be a situation where Kelsey Mitchell's IQ fully matches up with Caitlin. I think there's going to be 1 to 2 turnovers a game where there's just a miscommunication between Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark. A couple of times Kelsey Mitchell's just let the ball go out of bounds. But I think that as time goes on, it's going to improve. Like, it has to. It has to. Like, if you're playing with a player that makes those passes, you're going to figure it out eventually. And if you don't, you're probably going to be gone. Because, look, if Kelsey Mitchell, she's getting better when it comes to that. And I think Caitlin Clark herself is getting better at getting it to Kelsey Mitchell. And it's like, it's about learning from both ends. The combination of floor general with scorers, it's like, it works both ways. Like, it's not entirely, like, again, even with some of these turnovers, it's on both the receiver and the passer at times. When it's a turnover that the ball's just chucked out of bounds, it is what it is. But, like, when some of the turnovers have been Kelsey Mitchell just thinking too fast, like her brain's moving faster than her body, and the ball just, like, hits her chest and goes off. Like, there was a time where she came off a handoff and didn't even lift her hands, the ball hit her chest and was a turnover. So it's like, sometimes Kelsey Mitchell plays a bit too fast. And I think that we're now seeing Kelsey Mitchell be almost at her most effective. She's had some of the bigger games of her career on incredible efficiency, because I think she's realizing that, okay, yeah, Caitlin can find me in a position where I can score easy. And I hope for the rest of the season, Caitlin can find Kelsey in positions that it'll give her an easy assist and they can win games. Because at the end of the day, I think that's the only thing Caitlin Clark gives a damn about is winning games. So, yeah, that is a very interesting thing. And to have the ability to reflect on some of the situations and just be like, well, the whole thing with Caitlin is she passing the ball to where you should be, not where you are. And to kind of have that understanding of this is what she's doing, this is what we've got to do, is huge. Like, that is huge because it means that you're still going to keep, like, if you know that that's the best way to play with Caitlin, you're going to have it in your head and be like, look, this is what I got to do. This is what I got to do. And we've heard Kelsey Mitchell plenty of times before praising Caitlin Clark's passing and being like, look, we're just here to help. They're like, we're just basically here to help her. She's going to make the passes. We're there to score. And I think if you're Kelsey Mitchell, you realize, like, this is your bet. You've never played on a winning team, and it's the closest thing you've ever played. This is the closest thing you've had to a winning team since college. And also the fact that if you are a efficient scorer and you're on the same page as Caitlin, just like Aaliyah Boston's been, she's going to be a 20-point per game scorer. Like, I would not be surprised to see a weird scenario where for the rest of the season, all three of Caitlin, Kelsey Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston average 20 a game. Not for the season, but just for those, 14 games. I can see that happening. It genuinely could happen with how good that big three is. And long-term fit, I don't think there's, Kelsey Mitchell's, this is her, 7th year in Indiana? She's not going to want to leave. There's a 0% chance Indiana let her go in free agency. And the only thing is if you get confirmation that Satu's going to sign and someone else big is going to sign. That's the only reason you wouldn't pick up Kelsey Mitchell. Because, again, all-star shooting guards don't grow on trees, and there are none of them other than Kelsey Plum in free agency, and she's not leaving Vegas. So, 2026, they're all going to be signing on one-year deals anyway. So, 2026, whatever happens with Kelsey Mitchell will be based on next season. But I think with Kelsey, if Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark can continue to improve together, get on the same page, Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark are already at that level. They're the best guard post duo in the WNBA right now as far as creating for each other. I think when you're talking about Jackie Young and Aja Wilson, I think they're both better as individual players, but as far as what the two of them just create for each other, I think that Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston are better in that regard. In general, I don't think they are, but I just think in that specific scenario they are. But yeah, that is pretty much it. Kelsey Mitchell, they could be contenders next year. If Kelsey Mitchell continues to score as efficiently as she is, gets better at catching the ball and gets into better positions, Caitlin keeps doing what she's doing and makes the next step. Aaliyah Boston does as well. They're both 22 years old, so they're going to make a step up next season, and they can even sign one free agent, hopefully a Satu. Because if what she's doing at the Olympics is out of shape Satu, when Satu gets back in shape, it's going to be scary. And I don't see why Satu would go to the Sky over the Fever, especially when she plays the same position as Angel Reese. But that lineup of Satu, and you can start in Alyssa Smith, but get her out quite quickly. And if you can keep Temi, a lineup of Caitlin Clark, Satu, Kelsey Mitchell, Temi Figbenle, and Aaliyah Boston is going to be so hard to stop next season.